So, as we get started today on this particular episode, this particular podcast, we're going to start a little differently. Let's take a few breaths, take some deep breaths, and I'm going to borrow what we do in yoga class, yoga practice, and that is arrive. Let's arrive on the mat, if you will. The podcast, in this case, being the mat. Let's arrive at this place, at this particular place and time. We're in the now. And let's just take a few deep breaths and focus on where we are right now. If you have been moving fast lately, and probably you think, well, who hasn't been? If you've been moving fast lately and there's been a lot of different things on your plate, there's been a lot of mental noise, a lot of chaos around you, and a lot of energy like I should be further along type energy, you're going to really like this podcast. This episode's for you. More specifically, this episode is for that part of you that's been working really, really hard to change. And quite honestly, you're still wondering why none of this is sticking, why nothing has actually changed yet or manifested for you. I want to talk about your identity. That's what we're going to talk about today, your identity. Not in an abstract way or a very high-level philosophical way, but in a very practical, grounded way that I think is going to shift something in you and for you. Because most of us, when we want to change something in our lives, we go straight to the thing, to the behavior. We make a plan, set a goal. We look for the right systems, the right platforms, the right routines, the right people, the right habits. And those things can be useful, don't get me wrong, but there's a problem. And it's a problem that nobody really talks about, which is the behavioral level change that needs to take place first. The behavioral level change almost never holds unless your identity supports it. Your identity. What I mean by that is very simple. You can't, you cannot consistently act in ways that contradict or conflict with who you believe yourself to be. Just not possible. It's not sustainable. And if you've ever been in the dating arena, you know that to be true. People are their best selves around you for about 3 months. And after that, they have to return to who they innately are. So it's not a matter of motivation. It's not a matter of discipline. It's a matter of identity. And if your core self-concept, which is that story that you're carrying around about who you are, if that hasn't shifted, then your behavior is going to keep snapping back just like a rubber band, just like the girl or guy that you're dating. So in this episode, what I'm going to do is walk you through what that pattern actually looks like, where it comes from, and most importantly, how we can gently and quietly begin to shift it. Not through force. That's very important you understand that. It's not a forceful thing, but through awareness. Because noticing is the work. Noticing is where the work begins. Through something that the teacher Neville Goddard called living from the end. Living from the end. It's a very different perspective. So stay with me. We're going to jump into it in just a few minutes. So guys, thank you so much. This is Kelly. I am your host here at Rethink Podcast. I am very humble every week, or whenever we decide to sit down and do these podcasts these days, that you guys sit down with us and you're willing to sit and listen and comment. And speaking of comment, I really want to thank you guys. Lately, I haven't said anything, but I do see your comments on our social, on our Buzzsprout podcast page, and really wherever else that you're posting. But particularly, I will tell you, if you listen on the long form podcast, via audio, that can be Apple, Google, Pandora, Buzzsprout, wherever iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to us at. If you look down in the show notes, in the description, there is a place where you can just text us. And people have been texting us and saying really cool things. Hey, just want to reach out directly and say thanks for the podcast. Someone else says, What was their list? Someone else says, really enjoyed the podcast. Keep it up. Someone else says, love the show. Someone else says, was a really great podcast today. Thanks. So I do see those notes. I really do appreciate it. And I want to encourage you to continue to send them because Buzzsprout actually now has a new feature and I can actually respond to you. So it's like we can hold on a little conversation on the podcast side. So obviously, if you listen to us on YouTube, long form, comments are always welcome. I'd love to engage with you guys, the audience. So thank you so much for that. If you're new to the podcast, go ahead and subscribe. I don't know where you're listening to us at. It doesn't matter to me. Just subscribe so you don't forget yourself, who we are and where we are. We really do appreciate it. We're in our 5th season. So that means you've got 4 seasons to go back, and get caught up on. Okay? Today, well, before we get into today, I want you to go into the show notes and take a look at our free giveaway. And also, by now, I believe, by this podcast, we should have updated the show notes to include our self-concept app. We have an app that will help you to develop and print out a copy of what your self-concept actually is. And it is free. So I want you to take a look at that. Go in the show notes. All you got to do is sign up and you have access to the app. And it's a really cool thing. I developed it myself and I use it. And it's not written in stone. It's something that you can do and you can update and upgrade. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Once you take a look at the app, once you download it, it's pretty easy to use. You don't have a motivation problem. You have an identity problem, So today, that's our concept that we're going to be teaching from, that you don't have a motivation problem. You have an identity problem. The problem's in identity. So let me point you to a picture. I want you to notice if any of this stuff sounds familiar, because I guarantee it does, especially if you're in the space. You decide you want to change something. Maybe it's your relationship with money. Maybe it's how you show up at work. Maybe it's your health. Maybe you're in a place in your body that you're uncomfortable. You don't feel good. You're in pain. You want to change that. It could be your habits, the way that you respond when things get hard. Maybe you find yourself using the word triggered a lot. You feel generally motivated. Generally speaking, you feel motivated. You watch videos, YouTube and all this stuff. You listen to podcasts like this one. You journal, you read books, you do all this stuff. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, things seem like they are different. You feel a little different. And then almost like gravity, you sort of started drifting back down from that high. You don't do it all at once. It's a slow progression back down. Until one day you look up and you're back in relatively the same pattern, the same response, the same feelings that got you feeling like you were stuck in the first place. And the story that you tell yourself is a version of, see if this sounds familiar. I just don't have what it takes. Okay, you can tell yourself that. Many people tell themselves, I'm not disciplined enough, or I'm always doing this. I always do this. I always end up in this predicament. I always quit. I'm that kind of person who starts and doesn't finishes. If you're saying that to yourself, I want you to, number one, stop saying that to yourself, but I want you to just stop there. Like, just stop there, because that story, that person that says to themselves, I'm that kind of person who, that's the identity speaking. That's who you really believe you are. You ever heard of liquid courage? And a lot of people use the term when people get intoxicated through alcohol. They say things that the individual says, I don't normally say. Well, yeah, it's like being under anesthesia. You're more relaxed. You're more your actual self. You're not afraid. You're not inhibited. So you just let it fly. And what are those things? Those are thoughts that you really hold. Those are beliefs that you really, really hold. The only reason you're not saying anything when you're not intoxicated or when you're not under the influence is because you have a sense of You have a sense of humanity and you don't want to offend people. And maybe even you don't want people to know that you hold these thoughts. But when you're intoxicated, all that's out the window. My point is, when you are down on yourself, sometimes you're saying things and you say, I can't believe I said that. Yeah, that's really what you believe. And that's okay because we got to get to the actual starting point. That's your identity speaking. Okay. And so that identity that said that about you, I can't believe I did this and I always drift back down, all that kind of stuff. That's the identity that's running the show. That's the identity that's running the show. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that most personal development content gets, I would say, backwards. It tries to change your behavior first, hoping that your identity just somehow follows along. But that's not how humanity actually works. It's not how humanity actually works. Your behavior always, always, always is a reflection of your current identity. Let me say that again. Your behavior is always, it is absolutely always an indication, a reflection of your current identity. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your self-concept. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of who you believe you are. And when there's a gap between that behavior you're trying to perform or convince people of or convince yourself of, and the identity that you're actually carrying, that identity is going to win. Every time the identity is going to win. So let me give you a really concrete example. Say someone decides that they want to start an exercising, regimen, and it's beginning of the year. It's January 1, and we're going to lose weight. So they have a plan. They set the alarm. Day 1, they go. Day 2, they go. Day 3. Something comes up on day 3. So day 4, they skip day 4. And by day 5, the internal voice is saying, see, you knew you were really not that person that exercises. We let's just eat the cake. You knew this wouldn't last long. And it feels like confirmation. It feels like it's actually true. Why? Because you probably did it before. You probably started to do something and then it went a certain stage and you stopped. You probably started something else. It was a great idea. It felt good. And then you stop. So when this comes up again, it feels true to you because we don't know because we don't know all the stuff you started and stopped, but and then it feels true to you and it feels like it's part of you. And what's actually happening is the voice is not reporting reality. What it's doing is reinforcing your identity. It's maintaining the self-concept that was in place before the person ever set that alarm. So before you ever set that alarm to start off on 2026 lose weight plan, that identity was already in place. And so it followed you on this plan and it resurfaced. This is what James Clear talks about when he says that every action is a vote for a type of person. Every action is a vote for a type of person. But the deeper question here is the one that he doesn't always answer. And that is, what do you do when your vote keeps getting overwritten by your older, more established, louder belief about who you actually are? In other words, your self-concept. This is where I want to bring in something from the teacher, Mr. Goddard himself, because he saw this a little differently, a little more clearly than almost anyone. Neville taught that the world is a projection of your actual consciousness, specifically of your assumptions. What do you assume yourself to be? Not just your beliefs about the world out there per se, but your beliefs about yourself in here. What do you believe about yourself? Your self-concept. He called it the I am. Whatever you place after the words I am, that's what you're continually creating. That's where you're continually creating from as well. If you say I am bad with money, I am someone who always overthinks. I am the kind of person that doesn't, things don't work out for. These aren't These aren't observations, they are assumptions. And according to the law of assumptions, your assumptions harden into fact, not because the universe is punishing you, but because your behavior, your perception, and your choices, they're all filtered through the lenses of what you have already decided is true about yourself. The pattern itself isn't a character flaw. It's not a character flaw. It isn't evidence of your limitations. Not that either. It's simply the operating system that's currently installed. It's your current operating system. And the invitation here is to notice that, to understand that, not to take it personal, not to beat yourself up about it, not to white knuckle your way past it or through it. Just observe it, name it, and begin to gently introduce different levels of assumption. A different I am. That is the reframe we're going to get into next. The reframe. This is the deep dive. Now let's really lock in and focus. So, what can change one's identity? Because it's not willpower. We've tried a lot. And we've knuckled and white knuckled it, and it doesn't really work and it doesn't hold. It's not affirmations, I don't think, that are posted on your mirror that you don't truly believe. Okay. I don't have a problem with affirmations, but if there are some things that you don't innately believe, then I don't think they're going to be effective. It has to be something that is connected to who you believe yourself to be. Otherwise, what's the point? It's not a 30-day challenge. You know, what changes identity is what actually reaches the level of assumption. It's what Neville called living from the end. Here's what that means. Most of us approach life, we want from a position of a distance. Like we're here and the thing we want is over there or out there. We look at the outcome that we want, but it's at a distance from us, right? It's not here where we are. We've got to prove ourselves to be that person, or we've got to earn that particular identity. That can be confidence, it can be relationship, it can be financial ease, it can be health, it can be a new job. Whatever it is, it's over there and we're standing over here. We're standing outside of it, wishing that we could get there and get to it. So Neville's teaching is this: stop looking at it from the outside. Step inside of it. Step inside of it. Assume it's already yours. Assume it's already your actual lived reality. Not the I hope this will be true for me someday, but this is already who I am. Who I am now. This sounds like wishful thinking and magical thinking and all of the terms that you hear about this particular community, but stay with me because there's a real psychological mechanism at work here. Underneath what I call modern science, actually supports it as well. It's called the self-concept consistency principle. The self-concept consistency principle. The research on this is clear. People don't simply change their behaviors when they have new information. They change their behaviors when they have a new identity, when they actually can see themselves as a different person. This is why telling yourself to just be more confident doesn't really work. Confidence isn't a switch. It's a reflection of your self-confidence, your self-concept. Confidence is a reflection of your self-concept, something that's already in place. So when your identity says, I am someone who moves through uncertainty with groundedness, then confidence innately follows it. It's a natural thing, not as performance, but as an expression. So the question is, how do you shift the self-concept without faking it? How do you shift your self-concept without faking it? Here's a micro teaching that I want to offer today, something that you can literally use tonight. Your self-concept is your blueprint. Your self-concept is your blueprint. It begins here. It's woven into your actual behavior. Imagine that your life is a building and your behaviors are the rooms that are inside the building. Your self-concept is the blueprint. Okay? Here's the thing about blueprints. You can rearrange the furniture all you want. New habits, new goals, new routines. If the blueprint says that this person lives in chaos, then the building keeps coming back to chaos. The furniture rearranges itself. The work isn't in the furniture. The work is the blueprint. And the way that you revise the blueprint is not through force or repetition. It's through imagination and through feeling. So Neville called this the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's very similar to living in the end. It's the practice of occupying, that inner world, the identity where you are already that person that you are seeking to become. Not someday, but right now. This is not pretending. This is not, again, magical thinking. It's not that toxic positivity. It's a quiet but deliberate practice of holding a new assumption about yourself until it becomes your reality. Until it becomes a place that you operate from automatically. Now, here's how it works in practice. So this is the practice that you can take with you and you can do tonight. You can sit quietly. You can sit quietly and you can close your eyes and ask yourself, what would it feel like if I already was that person I wanted to be? Not what would I do differently, but what would it feel like? So it's not an action, it's a feeling. You let the feeling land within your vessel, within your body. You let it become familiar to you. You don't force it, you don't rush it, you simply invite it in. Create scenarios where you can develop the emotion of a feeling, the way that you might invite a quiet sense of peace into the room. This is gentle and this is with space and it's welcoming. The reason that this works and is deeper than motivation is your nervous system is pattern matching constantly. Your nervous system is pattern matching. It's always asking, is this safe? Is this familiar? Is this who we are? And when you consistently introduce a new feeling, a new tone, a new sense of this is who I am, you're literally reprogramming and retraining that pattern matching. You're updating your blueprint. Now, the other piece of this I want to address is what happens in the gap. That time between when you set the new assumption and your outer life, begins to fully reflect that. Because the gap is where most people lose their faith. Most people just kind of give up because it doesn't happen right away. They don't see the manifestation and it seems like everybody's getting theirs and I'm not getting mine. So you've shifted something internally, but your circumstances haven't actually caught up to it yet. The old pattern still asserts itself and reasserts itself. The old voice still shows up sometime. The temptation is to take that as evidence that nothing actually is happening or even changing. But that's not really what that means. What it means is you're in transition. The old identity is losing its grip. The new one is yet to be rooted. And in the gap, where you are now, the most powerful thing you can do, just like Neville said, is remain faithful to your assumption. Remain faithful to your assumption. Is to keep returning to that new self-concept. No matter how many times that old ideology comes up, you keep going to the new self-concept. Not aggressively, not anxiously, but quietly, and you do it as a practice. This is what conscious living is all about. It's not dramatic. It's not some, big dramatic transformation overnight. It's a slow, steady, deliberate noticing and a choosing again and again and again. You must choose the right path for you. Noticing when the old identity speaks and you quietly choose the new one instead. That's the identity shift. That's the identity shift. And it's available for you right now. I mean, this is a practice that you can do right now. Okay? Now, because teaching without a practice is simply philosophy, I want you to have something that you can actually use in addition. So I'm going to give you these 3 things today: a journaling prompt, a spoken practice, and a 5-day micro habit called the Identity Reset. Here's a journaling prompt. Tonight, before you go to sleep, or you can do it right now, it only take a few minutes. I want you to write down 3 I am statements. 3. But here's the rule. These are not statements about who you have been. These are statements about who you're becoming. The person that you're choosing to be, they should feel like a gentle stretch, not wildly impossible, one step beyond where you've been operating. Let me give you some examples. I am someone who remains calm. I am someone who returns to calm quickly. I am a person who creates with ease, and I'm a person who shares without fear. I am someone, for example, whose things unfold for in good timing. Write them in present tense declarations. Not I want to be or I will be. It must be I am. And then this is the important part. Listen to me very well. After you write them, pause, close your eyes, and let yourself feel what it would feel like if that were simply, quietly true. Even for 15 seconds or 17 seconds. Get a feeling of what this would feel like. Let the feeling land. Get comfortable with it. All right, let's talk about the spoken practice. This is state akin to sleep. And if you know anything about Neville, these terms are very Neville-esque. And so let's jump into this one. This is one that you really want to grasp. This comes directly from his teaching and from his techniques, and this is one that is the most effective identity shifting tool that I know of or even have heard of. It's simple, because just before you fall asleep, when you're in that drowsy and borderline state between being conscious and being asleep, you can speak your new I am statement to yourself. Out loud if you want to, but you don't have to do that. Silent is good. You will repeat it slowly with feeling. And as you're drifting off, you drift off into that feeling. That borderline between working and sleeping is when, your conscious, critical mind is most relaxed and your subconscious is most open. You can plant this idea directly into that space. The assumptions that you feel yourself, full feed and fill yourself with during that particular time in that state before you drop off to sleep, they can bypass that part of your brain that's trying to rationalize it away. And they fall into that garden, that very fertile garden of your new identity. Now, lastly, is the 2-minute identity reset. Here's what I want you to do. Again, you can do this tonight as well. I'll call it the 2-minute identity reset. This is exactly what the previous walkthrough was about. Step 1 is you get into bed and you let your body relax. That's step 1. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Okay? Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Let your jaw unclench and let your shoulders drop. Step 2 is to bring your mind to the version of you who is already living your identity. Bring your mind to the version of you, your best self. Don't think about how you'll get there. Forget all that, how much it's going to cost and how, all that. Just feel it. See their posture. Feel that groundedness. Notice the ease that they carry themselves. Step 3 is to say slowly to yourself, out loud and in your mind, it's up to you. This is who I am. I am calm. I am enough. I am already there. Or whatever your specific statement is, say it 3 to 5 times. Say it every night. Say it slowly. Feel it. Say it with feeling, not just reading the words. Step number 4 is let yourself drift off. Don't hold on to it. Don't analyze it. Just let it become the last thing your nervous system registers before you go off to sleep. Do this 5 nights a week, not to manifest something dramatic, but just to notice the shift in how you feel when you wake up, how you speak to yourself during the day, and what decisions start to feel more natural. The 5-day identity micro habit. Day 1, you want to write that I am statements. Day 2, notice once a day when the old identity speaks. Don't fight it, just name it. Day 3, do the state akin to sleep practice that I told you about. The 2-minute identity reset. Notice how you feel in the morning. Day 4, take one small action. Take one small action that a person in that new I am statement would do. What is one thing that you would do if you were your best and highest self? And day 5, write one sentence about what you noticed over the 4 days, not what changed dramatically, but what you observed, what you felt, what felt more like you. That's it. That's 5 days, 2 minutes a night, and the quiet practice of choosing your identity on purpose instead of defaulting to a forceful mechanism, instead of defaulting to the one that was assigned to you a long time ago. This is the invitation. It's not an assignment. You can come, do it gently, and just let it unfold. Just let it unfold. So, this episode, we covered a lot of ground. And of course, I'm going to tell you to listen to the podcast again. I don't want to rush past what might have not landed or just landed or, what you're hearing. But do listen to the podcast again. Take a few deep breaths now. Just like after yoga practice, you kind of sit and let the practice settle. I want you to do the same thing as we kind of begin to close out for the podcast. If something in this episode did steer something in you, a recognition, for example, I want you to sit with that and just kind of allow that to minister to you, just to kind of allow it to marinate. You don't have to analyze anything, and it's nothing to do immediately. You don't have to figure anything out right now. Just sit with it. Let it be the beginning of something, and whatever that something is, it's fine. That's really where the work is. That's, identifying and recognizing and being aware. It's not a quick fix. It's not a system. It's a slow, steady deepening of your relationship with yourself. You possess what you need to be the person that you say you want to become. Everything that you're going to get is going to come from you, not outside of you. It's going to come from you. So with who you actually are underneath the patterns that form when you were just trying to survive, or when you were trying to fit in or fix it, or when you hadn't just, thought you learned everything you need to learn. Neville, for example, said something that I like to come back to very often. He said, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and observe the route that your attention follows. What route are you taking? Notice that. Don't force it. Just notice it. Not make it happen. Observe the route. There's a trust built into that language, an invitation to move through this patiently and with presence, most importantly with presence, with that quiet confidence that the inner self is already doing the work. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to earn the identity you want. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to deserve it. You don't have to work harder. You don't have to be more disciplined. You don't have to do any of that stuff. There's nothing to figure out. It's just to observe it. The life that you want to live, the version of yourself that you're moving toward it's not somewhere out there. It's waiting for you to arrive. It's not somewhere out there waiting for you to arrive. It's a quiet assumption held consistently and quietly. It slowly becomes the lens through which you begin to see yourself. And I really do connect with that thought, because the world would kind of get you in this vein of it must be loud and boisterous, something that you can post on social media and everybody can see. Otherwise, it's not real, it's not true. Well, that's absolutely not the case. You're going to look up one day and you're going to be that version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. And it will come to you in a very reasonably quiet and normal, quote unquote, normal way. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really do love where we're going. The last few episodes, I got to be honest, they're starting to, I will say they're all my favorite episodes, but I'm really liking the rich deepness of these conversations, and I trust that you are as well. If you listen all the way through, I really appreciate you. I really do. Hear it from my heart. I really appreciate you. Please share, like, and subscribe. Do all that kind of good stuff so the podcast can still grow. And be well, be your best self. Be your best self and be good to yourself. Okay? I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, guys.